talk about this foolishness with Serena.
Yes.
Serena Williams. So, I mean, you basically had to be like literally in a cave somewhere not to have heard what was going on with Serena Williams.
And unfortunately, there has been a lot of people, because I've been trying to bring it up and nobody seems to have a problem with it.
You've been trying to bring it up to who?
Some of the people I've been around. I did a union picnic yesterday and they seem like, what happened? I'm like, what? Really? But I don't know. But anyway, go on.
Well, so if you didn't see what happened, to sum it up for you, Serena was in the final round of the U.S. Open. She was, playing against Naomi Osaka, who is
And thoroughly getting spanked.
and in the
Say the first game she got spanked.
in the first game, yes. In the second game, they were about tied though.
Yes, I mean it was 4-4 or 3-3 or something like that.
I'm not sure, but it was close. It was there.
It was there. It was there for Serena to come back.
It was
and
definitely
possibly
there for
go to a third
Serena
set.
to maybe knock it on out, do what she had to do. So, with that being said, at one point, the umpire, and his name is called Carlos Ramos. At one point, the umpire accused Serena of being coached, which means her coach was giving her hand signals, and basically that means she was being accused of cheating.
Now, as a sidebar, the coach did admit he was coaching her. He was trying to tell her to move closer to the net, but his hands was being blocked by whoever was sitting in front of him, so she didn't even see it. So the coach did admit that he was trying to coach her, but all coaches do that. And if they happen to see it, move on. So.
And it wasn't anything that warranted a point being taken. That's something that only warranted a warning, because like you just said, lots of coaches coach. So that wasn't anything unique. So what happens is he takes a point. Now Serena's very upset. She says, you owe me an apology because you're accusing me of cheating and I wasn't cheating.
Exactly.
So she said, well, if you owe me an apology, and he didn't want to give her an apology, she said, well, then because you stole a point from me, then you're a thief. So then he gives a game penalty ruling, basically making it so that Naomi won the whole thing.
Well, after taking the point, he then took a game.
That's what I just said.
But what I'm saying is that a point is one thing because you were inside a game. But when you take a game away in the finals, and the sad part about it, they was talking about Rafael Nadal and his brother, and they are real close. And everybody know they had signal. Federer complained about this years ago, and yet nothing. Rafael never even got a warning. And if you watch the match that he had the other day, the camera was on his coach, and his coach was doing waves and doing this and doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Because they do it all the time. I've very rarely seen a coach just, do. I mean, they do stuff all the time. So part of the problem is because she also broke her racket. Part of the problem is that she's saying that the sport is sexist, which at this point I'd have to agree, because Carlos Ramos has been called an idiot. He's been told he had an a-hole call. When men have cursed him out, screamed at him, not only did he not take the game, he didn't even take a point.
Didn't even give a warning.
He didn't even give a warning, and he's been cussed out this year. He just got cussed out and called a moron or something to that effect. So people tried to make it seem like, oh, it's not, about sexism or whatever. She shouldn't have done it. Okay, but where are the history notes for the men? What's the one guy who used to cuss people out thoroughly all the time?
John McEnroe.
McEnroe.
He used to call people abortions.
All kinds of stuff.
Your mother should have shot you at birth.
Why
all
are you
kinds
alive?
of disrespect. And I mean, he used to get penalized, but he was extreme.
And he broke rackets.
And it took a lot for him to get penalized.
Yes, a lot for him to get penalized. And he broke rackets and whatnot. But yeah, it took a lot for him to go there. So let's remember the French Open. She had on her leotard. her cat suit, if you will, that she wore. This is Serena now, to help out with blood clots because she started forming them when she got pregnant with her daughter.
Right. The complications with the daughter. Right. I get it.
They told her she could no longer wear the cat suit because that was not appropriate for
And she
tennis.
handled that very professionally.
Very
Everybody was
professional.
upset on Black Twitter, and then she was like, listen, we talked about it before they released it. I'm okay.
So she put this tutu on to make a stand and make a point.
Nike gave her paid for that to be made for her. By
And
the
they
way.
both of them, they made the cat suit and the one with the tutu. So you have that. You have her sister Venus, who was also called out once for her cheating and being coached. Then you have Elise KonnecT. So during a 10-minute break, it's hot as ish at Flushing Meadows. She changed her shirt, but she realized that she was wearing it the wrong way. So she fixed her shirt, and she was wearing a sports bra. But because she was on the court when she decided to fix her short shirt, she was called out for that too. She got penalized for that.
And this was during this upcoming this U.S. Open that just happened.
This was August 28th.
Wow. And Nadal is always pulling his drawers from his nuts, and then go in between his ass and pull his drawers out of his ass, and then he always rub his nose. I'm thinking he's smelling it. But here's my thing. I think I've been noticing this for years. Even back when I was married, back in 2007, we've been watching Nadal. I kept saying it was inappropriate. Like, why is he constantly pulling on his penis? And like, won't somebody give him a better pair of drawers?
That what do you call that? A jock strap might be a little too tight.
Yeah. But
gets a little sweaty during.
and that's the thing. That's inappropriate.
Totally.
But again, it's okay because it's just a nervous tick. I don't give a damn. So if a girl come out there and rub her nipples because she's about to come on,
because she's nervous. So the organization is saying that, and this is the U.S. Open, said that all players are allowed to change their shirts while sitting in chairs, while female players have the option to change shirts in a more private location close to the court when available.
But it's an option.
But if it was an option, then why was she penalized?
And that's my thing. What was it? I mean, did it affect the game? And if it did, because again, it does affect your spirit. And that's what happened with Serena. After he took that point, she was unfocused.
But
because
then,
it shouldn't happen.
A day after the incident with the shirt, though, Mr. Novak took his shirt off. Nobody said anything.
And he took his shirt off for for maybe a minute and a half. You know, I don't know if he was playing with his nipples or what he was doing, but you know, I guess they was getting chafed too. Because when you play tennis, if you don't have a t-shirt on, if the shirt is not fitted, it rubs against your nipple, and it does irritate after a while. Why do I know that? I have no idea.
I don't know why you know that.
But
I
I have the tennis channel. I watch the tennis channel, and some of the things that they used to say back in the day, Arthur Ashe and them, was some things that people didn't know about that could be very
important later on to
important
have
later
this
on,
Jeopardy moment. What players had chapped nipples and why?
Yeah.
So now she gets a fine for $17,000 for 3 violations. And, they always been coming for Serena. And Serena knows it.
But nobody's focused on, and I've been listening to the sports radio, and even my man Stephen A. Smith went at her, and I was like, even in that moment when Osaka won and the crowd was booing,
she put her arm around her.
She came out and said straight up, listen, she won. She's a great player. She deserved this. She never said that, I was cheated out of this or whatever. Because, again, Osaka played a good game. 117-mile-an-hour serve? That's that's Serena, and that's Serena type stuff.
And I'm trying to figure out, why do they just keep calling her Japanese, even though she's Japanese and Haitian?
Because, again, they're never going to give Haiti their props, period.
Like, why won't y'all give the other half of this woman some recognition?
That's a whole nother story. But she came out and was very professional. Even though she was flushed, she was upset, but she still made sure that the winner got their props. So she said, stop booing. And that's very important to me, because even people say that she acts spoiled and all that stuff. Even so, in that moment, she brought back the professionalism and said, listen, Osaka deserved the win. She's a great player. This is her first one of many. Stop booing. Respect her. That's
but doesn't she have the right at some point to be a little spoiled? If people keep talking to you,
she's the GOAT.
You can't.
She's the greatest tennis player
of all time. So if I have the right I mean, and I'm speaking out as though I'm Serena. Don't I have the right with people telling me how to dress? People giving me bad calls. Don't I have the right to occasionally show some emotion?
And that's the thing. And they want to tell me it's not because she's black. They say it's not because she's a female. It's
Then
because
why
of
is it?
her attitude. The problem with that is like white people have this, other people have this expectation of when you're successful, you need to be a little bit more humble. As an ex VP, I understand how that is, but they don't expect you to be, like verbal. They expect you to only black, calm down, and enjoy it. And that's what Serena's not like that.
Almost be grateful. But at the
yes.
end of the day, people have rights to have emotions. And seeing as how these men act, I just think that's very foolish to say that women should not ever be able to express themselves. I've seen hockey players knock out teeth, rugby players take out eyes. I've seen some flat out violence on basketball courts, football, of course.
What about the white tennis player who got suspended for using PDs? I mean, for PODs, performing in advancement, whatever.
Drugs.
And she didn't even get the backlash. She didn't even get treated like this. And she was cheating, literally. But like me and you got into it the other day, I'm telling you, this is about her legacy. They're trying to destroy this young lady's legacy because she's not going to play much longer. She's right now at the top. She's the GOAT. And it's something about you leaving a sport that blacks rarely dominate because it was Arthur Ashe, then her and her sister. There hasn't been a great black tennis player. And since she's been Steffi Graf was the height. Now you have Serena as the GOAT. I really believe they're trying to taint this young lady's legacy.
But yeah, we did go because like I said back then, you can't take it away. You know what I mean? Like
they did it to Bill Cosby. They did it to Minister Louis Farrakhan.
They didn't take anything away from
Malcolm
Louis
X.
Farrakhan.
Yes, come on. He get no TV coverage. Everything about him is anti-Semitism, negative.
But
Same thing with Malcolm X. They made Malcolm X a civil rights leader.
So I guess here's the problem that I'm having. When you say legacy, and like I said before, legacy according to who? Because if you keep giving
whoever
this
writes
energy,
the history, whoever controls the media.
But we should control our own history. If that's the case, then BET should put Farrakhan on there.
Oh no, BET is owned by
Viacom.
And they're Jewish. They're not going to do that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like at some point, then petition and get them put on what's Puffy's Revolt.
Puff laid off 116 people. He's struggling to get actual content because they are making sure, because of the Million Man March and how BET was strong on that, any TV One, the guy that owns TV One said the same thing. Anything that you put on that seemed to be controversial and or positive driven. That's why when they had this big, this big food festival in Chicago, TV One wanted to go there. They did go there.
Oh, the taste.
But they refused to air it for the simple fact it was all positive. There was no shootings. There was nothing going on in that area.
And they don't
and
want
it was so many black people came out, but it didn't have the narrative of 67 people got shot in Chicago. Now, some say that's a conspiracy theory, but I'm like, why wouldn't you put that on if you're going to put the negative on? But they're really trying to taint her. They did the same thing to Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, even when or if he did what they say he did, you can't take away the power that he had changed black families in this country.
But they still have his show on some channels.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
On the black
they
channels.
Took it off, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying about her legacy, there always will be an addendum. Oh, she's the greatest player ever, but she was spoiled. But
it was
she argued,
their addendum. And that was a conversation I was having with the young lady in the car. Like, she said something about the Emmys. I'm like, why do we care about the Emmys?
I agree 100% for that.
Care about
because
the Oscars.
We still want their approval.
But that's my point.
But what I'm saying about tennis is a particular sport that you have commentary, you have commentators. Now, right now, we were going to remember her. But we don't spread the information down the line. 20, 30 years from now, she's going to be, and she's just going to be, Arthur Ashe was so clean and crust, but they always say that he didn't have the power of today's players. Of course, because he had a wooden racket. He didn't have a racket that they have now made out of Teflon,
alloy,
whatever.
he said Teflon.
Yeah. But my thing, there's always, it seemed like, and I'm just getting fed up with it, that there is always this addendum to the legacy. Because she was the greatest player. I don't want her to be the greatest black female player. I want her to be the greatest female player.
Well, when I'm still reading, just like when the racist cartoon came out, that's down there in the bottom corner.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it down there. It's funny. It's disrespectful.
It is, because they got her looking like a coon. So, but a lot of people have come out on her behalf that are black and white, and they have made it because of what's happened also with the white players. They've made it into a sexist issue as opposed to a racist issue. Now, I'm not saying that there was no racism involved in that. I can't say if she was white, if she would have got the same treatment. And I don't know what's in the back of Carlos Ramos's mind. But at the end of the day, it's a problem, period, for women. So at this point, she's standing up on the side of women.
And
now,
she never mentioned anything about her race.
No,
she was very intelligent when she did that. I gotta give it to Serena.
Yeah, because then they're gonna try to say,
she's playing the race
you
card.
played the race card. So she never said it. Other people have called it out, like with that cartoon. They said that it was racist. White people. Hell,
right. J.K. Rowling, who was the big time author from Europe, she was like, "This is appalling."
So, they noticed that it was racist, but she never had to say that it was racist because other people said it for her. So her thing was always about, I didn't do anything that no other man has gone out there and done, which is the truth. Not all
and
the
she
other
still
men.
was very professional. She didn't lose
She
her
didn't
cool.
didn't even cuss at him.
She didn't use no negative, nasty words. She didn't talk about his mother or his daughter who got crabs. She ain't say none of that. But like I said, it's something about they're trying to. Because if she would have won that, that would have been her 24th major.
Yes.
Come on, that's impassable. So again, they tainted it. They showed that she's unprofessional. But again, she played with so much passion. Because I used to get on you. Remember about your passion? I used to take your passion as anger.
And it's not anger, it's passion.
It's passion. So she played with so much passion. Did I wish she would have handled it a different way? No, because when you in that moment, your raw emotion is real. And I think that if she wouldn't have handled it that way, I would have been like, she's just phony.
And I think sometimes you gotta set something has to happen for the conversation to take place.
To begin, right.
Because who would have even been talking about old girl with the shirt changing had it not been for Serena getting upset about this? And I dare her to challenge the violations. I don't think she should even have to go charge. I think she should sue.
I'm pretty sure she got a plan, but I feel sorry for Osaka because she did, and she's a great player. I mean, if you watch that match, and you can watch it on YouTube, she was smacking the hell. She beat Serena 6-0 in the first match, and that's unheard of. So she was doing her job. She was doing what she needed to do to win the match. And that's why the referee shouldn't even got involved, but he did. We are what we are, but I feel sorry for her. But thinking about somebody that if they wouldn't have done what they did, we wouldn't have known about it, leads us to our next story.